Rafael Nadal gave a gift so staggering it brought Alex Eala to tears, a second home. It was a gesture that would redefine the future for the young Filipino star, and it caught everyone completely by surprise, the fans, the media, and especially Alex herself. What began as a quiet act of kindness from one of the sport's greatest legends transformed into a moment so profound it resonated throughout the tennis community. However, this was about more than just a generous gift. This story is about legacy, mentorship, and a connection that runs deeper than any championship title. When Alex Eala first set foot in the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca back in 2018, she was a determined 14-year-old from the Philippines with enormous dreams. She knew no one, wasn't fluent in Spanish, and never imagined she would become an integral part of Rafael Nadal's world. But the sport of tennis has a strange way of uniting people from different worlds. Eala, like many, had always looked up to Nadal from afar. And who wouldn't? His warrior-like intensity, his philosophy of never giving up, and the way he battled for each point as if everything was on the line. For an up-and-coming player in a field dominated by European and American athletes, Nadal was a powerful symbol. He was living proof that passion and determination could conquer any challenge. What she hadn't realized was that Nadal had also been observing her. From the moment she arrived, the Academy's coaches saw something special in Alex. It wasn't just about her technique or her agility, it was about her character. It was about how she put in the work when no one was looking, and how she endured injuries and setbacks without a word of complaint. It was the way she shouldered the hopes of her entire nation, the Philippines, a country with minimal tennis infrastructure that was depending on her to succeed. In her struggle, Nadal saw a reflection of his own past. He knew exactly what it felt like to stand for something bigger than oneself, to carry a nation's flag that felt heavier than any racket. Spain hadn't always been a tennis giant either. Before Nadal and the Golden Generation, Spanish tennis was often overlooked. He had created a legacy from scratch. Now, as he watched this young Filipina fight her way to the top, he recognized his own journey in hers. Over time, their bond grew stronger. Nadal would often drop by her practice, offering quiet words of support, sometimes just a nod or a smile, a small sign to remind her that he believed in her. For Alex, those small gestures were incredibly meaningful. This wasn't just some coach or mentor. This was Rafa, the legend with 22 Grand Slam titles who had motivated a whole generation. But their relationship extended far beyond the court. Nadal understood the deep loneliness of chasing a dream so far away from home. Alex had left her entire family in the Philippines to pursue her training in Spain. She spent birthdays without her parents and faced tough losses without the comfort of her childhood friends. The Academy had become her home, certainly, but it was also a constant reminder of the immense sacrifices she had made. And Nadal understood sacrifice better than almost anyone. He made it his personal mission to make sure Alex never felt truly alone. He would have her over for family dinners on holidays. He always checked on her after a difficult loss. He celebrated her wins with the same joy as if they were his own. Quietly and steadily, he transitioned from a mentor into family. What Alex was unaware of was that Nadal had been setting something monumental in motion, an act that would alter the course of her life. But no one, not even those in Rafa's inner circle, could have anticipated what was about to happen. To fully grasp the weight of this event, one must understand what the Rafa Nadal Academy truly embodies. It is far more than a training center. It is not just another tennis club with fancy courts and state-of-the-art equipment. The Academy, which opened in 2016 in Manacor, Mallorca, was founded on the belief that champions are built on values, not just on victories. Principles like discipline, humility, respect, and hard work were not just slogans on posters. They were the very foundation of the institution. Nadal invested everything he had into fostering a community where young players could mature not just as athletes, but as individuals. He aimed to establish a place that felt like a real home, even for kids living thousands of miles away from their families. And Alex Eala became one of the Academy's most celebrated success stories. In 2022, she made history as the first Filipina to claim a Grand Slam singles title at the US Open Junior Championships. That victory sent shockwaves of joy across the Philippines. Celebrations erupted in the streets. Social media went into a frenzy. The country's president personally called to congratulate her. For a nation so long without a tennis hero, Alex was a shining beacon of hope. Yet, behind the glory of the trophy and the glowing headlines lay an incredibly demanding journey that most people never saw. Alex had already dedicated nearly 5 years of her life to the Academy by that time. That's 5 years of waking up before the sun, 5 years of punishing training sessions in the Mediterranean heat. It was 5 years of watching other girls return home to their families while she stayed behind, alone in a new country, chasing a dream that at times felt impossibly distant. The academy had equipped her with everything necessary for her to win. She had access to top-tier coaching, cutting-edge facilities, and training partners who constantly drove her to improve. Yet, it offered something far more profound, a community she could call her own. Her coaches evolved into trusted mentors, and the staff formed her unwavering backbone. Her fellow athletes were like brothers and sisters, and Nadal himself was a constant guiding presence. There were times, of course, when Alex was on the verge of giving up, instances where the weight of it all felt too much to bear, when she questioned whether every sacrifice she had made truly mattered. In those moments of deep despair, Nadal was frequently the one to steer her away from the brink. He would do it with a few words of guidance or simply by being there. He understood the crippling self-doubt, the fear of not measuring up, and the immense pressure of expectations that could shatter even the most resilient person. This place had truly transformed into a genuine home for Alex. Her private space, filled with photos from home and flags of the Philippines, was her personal haven. The training courts were her arena for battle, while the dining hall was a hub of camaraderie and joy, where she bonded with other athletes over meals. Despite all this comfort and support, a small piece of her always felt adrift. She yearned for a sense of stability, for a place to truly anchor herself, for something undeniably permanent. Little did she know, Nadal had been contemplating that very same feeling on her behalf for months. Out of the public eye and far from the media's glare, he was orchestrating an extraordinary gesture, something that transcended mere coaching or mentorship. He had observed her journey from an aspiring young girl to a formidable athlete, noting the poise and resolve with which she represented the academy. At every competition, he saw the immense pride she took in carrying the flag of the Philippines. So, he resolved to do something that would reflect the profound faith he had in her. His plan was so audacious, it would stun everyone, most of all Alex. The day was an unassuming Tuesday afternoon in November of 2024. It felt like any other day. Alex had just wrapped up an exhausting training session, every muscle sore and her clothes drenched. All she could think about was getting a hot shower, grabbing a meal, and maybe catching up with her family in the Philippines over a video chat. Suddenly, a message appeared. "Rafa needs you in the main office immediately." A jolt of adrenaline shot through her. Was she in trouble? Was something off with her schedule? Did he want to go over her upcoming tournaments? Alex threw on some clean clothes and hurried toward the admin building, her thoughts racing through countless scenarios. As she entered the conference room, Nadal was there, but he was not by himself. The director of the academy was present, along with a number of other staff. A camera crew was set up discreetly in the corner. The bewildered look on Alex's face must have been obvious, because Nadal offered a reassuring smile. It was that same warm, sincere smile that had calmed her nerves on countless occasions. "Have a seat, Alex," he said softly. She obeyed, feeling a slight tremor in her hands. She knew instantly this was something significant. Nadal started to talk, his tone composed yet filled with emotion. He recounted their first meeting and spoke of her evolution, not only as an athlete but as an individual. He expressed immense pride in her achievements and highlighted how she perfectly represented the academy's core values. As Alex took it all in, her eyes began to well up, even before she grasped the reason for it all. And then, Nadal delivered the sentence that would alter the course of her life. "For a long time, this academy has been like a second home to you, but I want to make that a reality. I need you to understand that this will always be your place, not as a trainee or a visitor, but as a true member of our family." He let the statement hang in the air, allowing its significance to settle. "I am giving you the right to live here permanently, with a private apartment that will remain yours forever, full access to our facilities for life, and an official position as a youth ambassador. You can now guide the next wave of talent, just as you have moved us all." A hush fell over the room. Alex instinctively covered her mouth with her hands. For a second, the air caught in her throat. She looked at Nadal, her mind struggling to comprehend his words. This was not just a figure of speech, he meant it was her home, literally. That is when the tears began to fall, freely and without restraint. She attempted to say something, but emotion choked her voice. Instead, she rose from her chair and wrapped her arms around Nadal, crying into his shoulder as others in the room discreetly dried their own eyes. "Thank you," she managed to get out, her voice fractured with emotion. "For all of it. For having faith in me when no one else would. For making me feel like I had a place. For giving me this family." Nadal embraced her firmly, his own eyes shining with emotion. "You have earned every bit of this, Alex. All of it. This is where you belong. It always has been." The emotional moment stretched on for several minutes. No one hurried her or suggested she pull herself together. They simply gave her the space to experience the full wave of her emotions, the relief, the immense gratitude, and the profound feeling of being truly seen and appreciated. Eventually, she eased back, her face wet with tears. As she scanned the room, all she could see were faces filled with affection and encouragement. These were the people who had witnessed her hardships and her successes, who had stood by her through every win and every loss. To her, they were family, and now, because of Nadal, that bond was officially forever. This news, however, was about to trigger a massive global response. The private ceremony had only been over for a few hours before whispers began to spread. It all began with an enigmatic post on the Academy's official Instagram. The picture showed Nadal and Alex in an embrace, captioned simply, "Family forever." There was no other explanation, no surrounding context, just those two powerful words. The tennis community absolutely erupted. Speculation ran wild among the fans. What was the meaning behind this? Were they revealing a new coaching arrangement? Could Alex be joining Nadal's team for good? Was there some untold story unfolding away from the cameras? Clarity arrived when Alex shared a post of her own. "I'm struggling to find the words right now," she wrote, accompanying a picture of her wiping tears from her eyes. "Today, Rafa gave me the most unbelievable gift, a place to call home at the Academy, permanently. I'm not just a student here anymore. I'm family. I'm just utterly overwhelmed. This place literally saved my life. The people here put their faith in me when I had absolutely nothing. Now, I have the chance to pay it forward and support the next generation. My love for all of you is immense." Within minutes, her post exploded online. It was the Philippine media that broke the story first, with headlines blaring from every major news source. Alex Eala bestowed a life-altering gift by Rafael Nadal. Nadal welcomes Filipino star into his inner circle permanently. Eala's home away from home, a tale of mentorship and affection. In response, fans from the Philippines inundated social media with outpourings of happiness and national pride. The hashtag Pinoy Pride shot to the top of worldwide trends, and even government officials publicly commended Nadal's incredible generosity. Commentators across the tennis world hailed it as one of the most heartwarming moments in the history of the sport. Yet, the celebration was not universal. A number of critics immediately began questioning the implications. Why was Alex singled out? What did this mean for the other gifted players at the Academy? Was this a clear case of favoritism? Had she truly earned such preferential treatment? "Look, Alex is undeniably talented," a tennis blogger commented, "but you have dozens of other kids at that academy grinding just as hard. What makes her so special that she gets a permanent place to live while they don't?" This whole thing smacks of Nadal playing favorites. Meanwhile, others brought up concerns about creating dependency. Could a gift like this ultimately help or hinder Alex's career? Was there a risk she might get too comfortable or even lose her competitive edge? "Elite athletes thrive on struggle and the drive to succeed," a former coach posted on Twitter. Handing a young player this level of security could easily backfire. She has to maintain that fire. Even within her own Filipino fanbase, the reactions were divided. The majority were ecstatic, but a vocal few expressed anxiety over what this meant for her ties to the Philippines. After all, she had already lived most of her life in Spain. Now she has a permanent base there. Can we even call her Filipino anymore? Or is she basically Spanish now? The backlash was painful. Alex couldn't avoid the negative comments or the long articles dissecting whether she was truly worthy of such a gift. She felt the burden of the public's doubt, questioning both Nadal's motives and her own merit. And yet, she witnessed something else entirely. A massive wave of love and encouragement that completely overshadowed all the negativity. She saw thousands of notes from young Filipino athletes who thanked her for being their inspiration, along with sincere posts from her peers in the tennis world offering their congratulations. There were video compilations from fans across the globe celebrating the special connection she shared with Nadal. And amid all this chatter, Nadal himself remained completely unmoved by the criticism. When a Spanish reporter questioned him about the controversy, his response was direct: "My decisions aren't guided by public opinion. I act based on what I feel is right in my heart. Alex has more than earned this." Anyone familiar with her journey would understand the reason. His statement quieted many of the naysayers, but it also brought a more profound question to the surface. What was the true meaning behind this gesture? This was about far more than just an apartment or a membership to the academy. It signified something immensely larger. If you peel back the layers of sensational headlines and social media chatter, you find a simple but powerful truth. Rafael Nadal had just redefined what it means to be a mentor in the world of athletics. For generations, the dynamic between seasoned champions and up-and-coming talent has been fairly standard. The veterans might offer some guidance. They might share a few stories from their own careers, or perhaps invite a younger player to a practice session. They could offer some encouragement after a difficult defeat. But to provide concrete, life-altering support? That is exceptionally rare, practically unprecedented. What Nadal did for Alex Eala transcends simple mentorship. It represents a deep commitment, a solemn promise, and an understanding that a true legacy is measured by more than just championship trophies. It's measured by the lives you impact. Consider for a moment what this gift truly signifies for Alex. Here is a 20-year-old athlete who comes from a nation with very little in the way of tennis infrastructure. The Philippines lacks the world-class training centers found in America or Europe. It also doesn't have the same level of financial support. The country can't offer a clear path from junior-level success to a professional career like other nations can. Because of this, Alex's entire journey has been incredibly fragile. A single serious injury, a significant financial problem, or the loss of a key sponsor could have shattered her entire career. Up until this moment, she had always been just one stroke of bad luck away from being forced to abandon her dream. Nadal's gesture completely removes that constant threat. Now she had a home base, a sanctuary for training, healing, strategizing, and evolving, no matter what turns her career might take. An injury and the loss of sponsors wouldn't leave her homeless. Struggling on tour and running out of cash wouldn't mean the end. She had a place to regroup. Yet, beyond this tangible security, Nadal offered something far more profound. He gave her validation. For so long, Alex had shouldered the immense weight of being the Philippines' great hope, the trailblazer, who simply had to make it. The unspoken question hanging over her was, if not her, then who? It was a crushing burden to bear. Under that pressure, every defeat felt like she was letting down her entire country, and each tournament became a public trial of her right to be there. Nadal's gesture sent a clear message. You belong here. Your success is already real. You've earned this. This isn't a handout. It's a recognition of your worth. And the impact of that statement rippled out far beyond just Alex. Around the globe, young athletes, particularly from nations with little representation in the sport, witnessed this unfold and saw it as a revolutionary moment. It was confirmation that there was a place for them in the world of tennis, and that the road to success didn't have to run through the conventional channels of Western Europe or the United States. It showed them that someone might just see their hard work and decide to lend a hand. This was the very embodiment of Nadal's vision for his academy. His goal was never just to forge champions. It was to build a tennis community that was more welcoming and supportive for everyone. A haven where raw talent, no matter its origin, could truly blossom. It was a place where a young woman from the Philippines could train shoulder to shoulder with athletes from Spain, France, and America, seen as a true equal. His gift to Alex was, in itself, a powerful declaration. It declared, "This is my belief. This is the future I'm committed to building." But it also threw down a gauntlet to the entire tennis establishment. Would any other superstars step up and make a similar commitment? How many were prepared to put not just their reputation or a few hours on the line, but significant, tangible resources to support the next generation of players? Nadal had raised the bar. Regardless of whether people approved of his choice, it was impossible to disregard. The entire conversation had changed. Suddenly, athletes were forced to look inward, asking, "What do I owe the players following in my footsteps? What will my legacy be when the rankings and prize money are forgotten?" For Alex, however, the question was much more immediate. Where do I go from here? After the news broke, Alex found herself at a loss for words, thinking, how can you possibly thank someone for a gift this life-changing? How can you put into words the feeling of someone having such complete faith in you? She attempted to write a detailed public statement multiple times, but every draft felt hollow. In the end, she opted for something simple and from the heart. "I've been crying on and off for 3 days," she wrote in an Instagram post. "It's not sadness, it's just that I'm so overwhelmed with gratitude. I can't process it. Rafa gave me more than just a place to live or a key to the gym. He gave me peace of mind. He gave me stability. He gave me the chance to pursue my dreams without looking over my shoulder. I swear I'll honor this by training harder than I ever have before and by paying it forward to other young players who need a hand." This is only the start. The reaction was immense. Her post was flooded with thousands of comments, many from aspiring athletes who shared their own hardships and thanked her for being their voice. But one message stood out. It came from a 12-year-old girl in Manila who wrote, "I hope I can be like you one day. You give me hope that I can succeed too. We don't have good courts here, but thank you for never quitting." Alex found herself reading those words again and again. That message was a powerful reminder of the bigger picture. This was about more than just her own career. It always had been. Just weeks after receiving Nadal's gift, Alex revealed she would serve as the Academy's new youth ambassador, organizing training camps for disadvantaged players across Southeast Asia. Her role would involve mentoring young talents from the Philippines who lacked the funds for European training. She also planned to use her growing influence to push for improved tennis facilities in developing nations. "Rafa demonstrated what giving back truly means," she said in an interview, "not with empty promises but with real action. I want to follow his example. I want to be the person for someone else that he was for me." And this new sense of purpose was reflected in her tournament performance. Liberated from the persistent worry over off-season training locations and the financial strain that had shadowed her early years, Alex stepped onto the court with a newfound sense of confidence. She played with the unburdened joy of an athlete who knew that, win or lose, she had a safe place to land. Yet maybe the most poignant scene unfolded months afterward, during a competition held in the Philippines. Alex invited Nadal as her guest of honor, and the two of them ran a clinic for hundreds of local children, many of whom were holding a tennis racket for the very first time. Watching Nadal coach those kids who had the same spark he saw in Alex when she first showed up at his academy, was a truly full-circle moment. This, right here, was his true legacy, not the collection of Grand Slam trophies. It was about creating opportunities, tearing down walls, and championing the idea that greatness can emerge from any corner of the world. As the clinic drew to a close, a young boy shyly made his way to Nadal and asked with some difficulty, "Will you help me the way you helped Alex?" Nadal crouched down to see the boy eye to eye, and with a warm smile he replied, "If you dedicate yourself and refuse to give up, I can promise you that help will find you. It could be from me or from someone else entirely. But the world needs more champions like Alex, and you just might become one of them." From a short distance, Alex watched the interaction, tears welling in her eyes. It was all clear to her in that moment. Nadal had provided her with far more than just a home. He had given her a purpose that went beyond the tennis court, a responsibility to extend the same generosity she had received. This account is about more than a kind gesture or a touching scene. It is about the outcome when a person in a position of influence chooses to use that power to uplift those around them. It is about building a legacy. It is about what it means to be family. It is about making the kind of difference that resonates much deeper than any trophy or ranking ever could. Rafael Nadal's career as a phenomenal player could have been his final chapter. He could have simply retired, managed his fortune, and savored his legendary status. Yet he opted for a more demanding path to create something that would live on beyond his own time. And Alex Eala is the living embodiment of that vision. She is proof that a genuine investment in young athletes, one that goes beyond simple words of encouragement, can fundamentally reshape their entire future. The question that now hangs in the air is, who else will be inspired by Nadal's example? Who else will rise to the occasion?